Hi, Dan Smith here from Calvi Consulting Services. I'm here to give you part two of the demo. This is the actual live data flowing through the system. If you remember from part one where we went over the architecture, everything starts out at the sensor in the Arduino and flows through a gateway, a Node.js server in this case, and that's what you see here, the output from that server. And it's given two bits of information. One is the data that it's receiving from the Arduino, and the other is that it actually successfully delivered that message. Change the data here a little bit so you know it's not just hard coding a 6 and passing it on. Me holding my hand closer and farther away from the proximity sensor. So we get some little bit of data modulation going, then that gets passed off into Azure. First stop in Azure, if you remember, is the service event bus. That's this right here. Its major job is to take messages in and broadcast them out to everyone else who wants to listen for those messages. The graph you see here, it does have a little bit of a delay on the actual reporting. The messages do flow much faster than this. It's got like 10-15 minute delay. But everything is flowing right now. I assure you, I'll come back at the end of the demo and show you that the numbers are changing. So once it gets broadcast out from the Event Hub, first place it goes for us is the Stream Analytics jobs. We have two of them here. We have the notification track, which is this one, which will eventually lead to getting an email notification that action needs to be taken. And the other is the SQL side of things, which leads to our visualization. So the two major lines you see are the input events and the output events. So as you can see, we had 13 for our input event and then 14 for our output event. So we probably had one carryover from the time frame before. So what you get out of that is you get the data coming in, it gets transformed into the proper SQL schema, then gets dumped off into an Azure SQL instance. Looking at the database is not that interesting, so we've put a Power BI visualization over the top of that, and that's what you see here. As you can tell, it's been running most of the day. We get lots of data flowing up and down and all over the place, and you can see the data right here. This is our latest data, 6. That's from when we started this thing. So we have about less than a minute before data goes from actually being sensed in the real world to showing up here in our dashboard. So the other track that the data travels along is our notification path, which is this job right here. Just a little note about that. These could be combined into one job. I just wanted to keep them separate to make it a little bit easier for demo purposes. Again, we have input and output events as our two major lines. In this case, a lot of times your input and output events will not match because they don't all fall in line for sending out a notification. There's filtering going on. So events come in, they either do or don't pass the filter. If they do, they get passed on to the next stage, which is this service bus queue. This queue fills up with messages, or doesn't really fill up because we're not passing enough to back up our worker role that's processing everything. But you can again see messages in and messages out. And then this guy right here is your length of your queue. For us, it's good. Our queue is staying at 0 messages, so that means that our worker role is doing its job and keeping everything flowing. What is a web worker? This is kind of where our notification manager comes into play. This guy here grabs everything off of the queue and it then packages it up all nice and neat and then sends it off to SendGrid. And what this is under the covers is actually a blob of C# code that you get to run in Azure. You don't need to spool up any virtual servers or anything like that. You can just run a chunk of C# code as its own standalone worker. What we see here is the actual performance, how much it's actually being utilized. And you can tell it doesn't need to be utilized very much to keep that queue empty. So again, this brings everything in from the queue and then outputs it to SendGrid. SendGrid then handles delivering all of the emails. Over here we see how many emails we've sent today. I've sent a bunch doing this demo, doing the prep for it. So I've sent 155. We had 155 requests, which means that's the incoming request, and then it actually delivered 155 emails. I've only opened 133 of them so far, but that's okay. I'll show you my inbox here real quick. And there we are. We've got our alerts flowing in from the beginning of the demo. I think that wraps everything up. You've now seen from the very beginning all the way to the very end. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at calvionline.com. Thank you.